G'day there, welcome to this Mark's Reviews and Tutorials video. This video here is to explain to you how to test your car battery and alternator. When you've had yourself a flat battery, the first question you need to ask is, okay, has the alternator gone bad or has the battery gone bad? If the battery's gone bad, then it can no longer hold a charge, and that's why your battery's gone flat. But if your alternator's gone bad, your battery might be fine, but the alternator's not the thing. It's not replenishing the battery, not putting the charge in and keeping it charging. So you are going to need a tool for this. You're going to need a simple multimeter or a voltmeter, something like this. I'll put a link in the description to just a simple one. And you're going to need anything that'll read DC volts. Now I've got my little cheat sheet on the side here. DC volt is the dotted line and the V. The AC is the wavy line and the V. So if you've got to dial it up on your multimeter, this one's fully automatic. It just reads it and does it. But you're going to need one of those. What we're going to do, I'll put a link in the description, as I said. What we're going to do, why I'm in the back of this car? Well, because it's a BMW and they have 50-50 weight distribution, so the battery is in the back. That's why I'm here. So what we're going to do is we're going to hold this across the live terminals, putting the red on the positive, there, back on the negative. And see here, we're getting a reading at 12.43 volts. So this is a good, healthy battery. You want to certainly, you've got to be over 12. A lot of cars won't start if they're not over 12. It is a 12 volt battery, but you're looking for more than 12. If you're below that, that's sort of the lowest you'd want to be. This car's not getting a lot of use at the moment, so the battery's not particularly well charged. But the big thing we're going to test here, that's with the engine not running, measuring the voltage across the battery. Now, what we're going to do is start the car and then do that again. And when the car's running, we're going to be finding out what the charge voltage is with the alternator running as well. If it's just the same or low, then the alternator's no good. What we want is a charge voltage up around 14 or even more. So we'll start the car and see what the car's running. And we're going to do the same thing, putting it across the battery. And there you go, 14.5 volts. So that's a good healthy system here. It's 14.5 volts with the alternator going. Now what I'm going to do is replicate that, do exactly the same thing on this car behind me. Now again, being BMW, no battery under the bonnet, it's in the back, but all BMWs are going to give you a point like this where you can get to your positive and measure the multimeter like we need, and then you just got to find a good earth. Actually any earth will do you, but that's clearly an earth point there. So we're going to put the multimeter across there, see what the battery's at, and then start the car and see what the alternator's at. Okay, and here we have 12.09. Now that's interesting. Oh, there we go, 12.14. Still low, but this battery is actually only 2 months old. A great big 2-month-old battery, but it's sitting on 12.15. So now we're going to start the car, measure the voltage again, and see what the output is. Okay, here we go. And yes, it's a diesel, so it's loud. Sorry about that. 14.73, and that's the charge coming off the alternator. So we know in both these cars we've just tested, the battery's good and the alternator's good. So that's all good. Now, this car here, I'll just turn it off so you can hear. So as I was saying, this car here's recently just had its battery changed. Now, I didn't have to even do the test with the multimeter to see what was going on with alternator and battery because of the characteristics of what happened. This car was absolutely fine when you're using it every day and all the time, but as soon as it was a little bit longer, it would start to wind before it start and then not start. It was showing signs of a low battery. And we went camping. It had done it once before and had to be jump started when the car had been sitting for a little while, and then it had been had the doors open and closed a lot. And then we went camping, and over a couple of days, again the car being accessed, opening doors, opening the electric tailgate, and the battery went dead flat. We had to be jump started again. Battery just was not lasting and holding like it should. It was evident that that was the problem. If we would then go for a drive, like we were camping, went for a drive for an hour to a place and then came back, the battery was absolutely fine. It would always charge up again. So I knew the alternator was charging it, but the battery had no ability to hold its charge. It would simply lose its charge overnight. So I knew it was the battery, not the alternator. But for you sort of get as much evidence as you can. If you're going to go and talk to a mechanic about this, get as much evidence as you can. Talk to him about when it's caused a problem, what you've done it beforehand, and so forth. Remembering that the alternator, which, no, you can't even see it on this engine. When you're talking about the alternator, it's when the engine's running, it needs to be charging the battery and providing the electricity for the engine to run. And the battery is storing the energy so that it can start the car, etc., etc. So they're the two different parts, and they're the two different things you need to check, and that's how you differentiate the voltage to check your alternator and to check your battery when you're trying to work out which one it is that's no good. If your alternator is only throwing 12.5, 13 volts, that's not adequate. It really needs to be 14 and over to be doing a good job and doing what it needs to do. Now, of course, your mechanic has got other tests. They can do load tests and all sorts of tests on your battery. You can get that done as well. This here, though, is just a at-home DIY quick check the voltage so you can work out if it's the battery or the alternator that's causing you the problem. Good luck.